What is going on, you guys? Thank you so much for joining me back on my YouTube channel. I really do appreciate it. Today, I'm going to be going over a question I get asked in my comments and my DMs all the time. Is the Nissan 350z a good track car? I'm going to be going over a bunch of pros and cons, a few different mods that people do to their cars if they are going to be tracking them, and just overall if it's going to be a good car to track versus some of the other cars in the same genre. Spoiler alert, it's actually pretty good. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me on my YouTube channel again. Let's get into it. So let's start with the basics. Everybody knows the Nissan 350z is rear-wheel drive. For track purposes, you're probably going to want to look for a manual version. That's just my opinion. You could probably track with an automatic, but you might have more fun with a manual. So these cars are actually found in a lot of autocross events and also HPDEs, which stands for High Performance Driver Education. Basically just groups that go out with people that want to learn how to track their cars. And they set up some cones and do track days and stuff. Test your new lap time once you do different mods and stuff like that. These cars are great for that. So these cars completely stock are going to be pretty good on track, but there are a few mods that are going to make you a little faster and it's going to be a little more fun if you add them. I don't have all of these mods on my car, but I do have a few of them. I'm going to go over them right here. So coilovers and lowering springs are definitely going to be something you want to look into. The stock suspension's okay, but you'll definitely see a big difference in lap time if you change your suspension out with something a little more performance oriented. So aside from suspension, for cornering, you also may want a front and rear sway bar. It's going to help a whole bunch. For braking, probably some stainless steel brake lines or an upgraded brake kit. I do know some of the models came with Brembos, so if you can find one of those, that's already a huge upgrade. But I do know with the weight of the car, I think the car comes in at about 3,400 pounds. With that extra weight and the longer wheelbase, the car does tend to, the brakes tend to fade a little bit faster than, you know, some other lighter cars. But this can be easily solved with like an upgraded brake kit. Obviously a cold air intake, an exhaust. If you can afford lightweight wheels, definitely go that route as well. And then you're also gonna want some performance tires because one thing I was always told is that nothing else matters if you're not on the ground. And then an additional one I added right here, just because Nissan 350zs kind of tend to overheat sometimes. It really depends. I've read a whole bunch of forums and some people say they've had overheating problems. Some people say they've had no problems at all. To solve some of their oil heating issues, they were putting in a larger oil pan. I know Stillen makes one that allows you to add an extra quart of oil, which will keep the heat down a little bit. And another thing you could do is add an oil cooler in the front of the car. It's not completely necessary, but if you do track your car a whole bunch in the hot days, like at Willow Springs Racetrack where I'm at in California, an oil cooler is definitely going to be a good option. In my opinion, I think it's like a win-win. If your oil doesn't necessarily get hot enough to where you need one, just in case it does, it'll be nice to have one, especially if you do plan on tracking your car all the time. I would say if you plan on doing 2 or 3 track events a year, it's probably not a huge deal, but you never really know. So as far as mods, those are basically all the mods you're going to want to do. I mean, you don't need all of those mods at all, but you know, like for the most performance possible, all of those mods are going to help. So if I could pick 3 of these mods to not completely break the bank, I'm probably honestly going to pick the coilovers or the lowering springs to upgrade suspension. Probably going to choose the upgraded brakes just so we can stop in time for corners and stuff. And then third, I'm probably going to upgrade the tires just because you could be the best driver in the world, but if your tires aren't going to keep you on the ground, it doesn't really matter, I guess. So those are my 3 mods if I'm going to pick any 3 of them: coilovers, upgraded brakes, and some tires. So real quick before I end the video, I just wanted to go over some pros and cons of the Nissan 350z. After the mods, after the basics we already know about, is this car honestly a good track car? So starting with some of the pros, first one, obviously from the factory, this car has more than enough power. I think the regular DE from 03 to 04 has like 287 horsepower. That is more than enough power to get you on the track. There's plenty of mods online, like I was talking about earlier, that are going to help you lower your lap time and increase performance overall. And honestly, the steering weight and feel in this car, for being a little heavier and having a little longer wheelbase, the steering actually feels really good in corners. So those are the 3 pros. And for the 3 cons, they're honestly not too bad. For the first one, it's going to be the weight, coming in at like 3,400 pounds, and the convertible one is like 3,600 pounds. I would definitely look for a coupe if you're going to look for one for the track specifically. The nice thing is that all this weight can be reduced by replacing the hatch, swapping out wheels, having like a race style interior with like racing seats and harnesses, or maybe even gutting the interior if you really wanted to do that. I think you can save like 200 or 300 pounds if you do that way. Other than that, I honestly think that if you just upgrade your brakes, you're going to have no problems at all. The only thing that the weight does is cause like brake fade at the beginning, but like I said, upgraded brake lines will help this tremendously. And the last con I wanted to talk about is that some don't actually come with limited slip differentials. This totally doesn't matter if you're going to be tracking it, but if you're going to be drifting the car at all, you might want to look into one that has a limited slip. Some of the stock models came with a viscous limited slip differential or a VLSD, which basically means it has like a gel in there, which will lock up the diff a little better, but some of them don't have any locking capabilities at all. So if you're going to be looking for a 350z for track specific purposes, I would definitely make sure you know what you're getting. That's pretty much everything. If you want to track your Nissan 350z, obviously there's a few more things like related to forced induction, like turbos and superchargers and stuff like that, but this was strictly for NA purposes only and just some bolt-ons and stuff. Honestly, in my opinion, this car is more than enough for a track day car. Let me know if you guys have one of these and you track it in the comments below. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button and drop a comment down below if you have any questions at all. I'm replying to everybody. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, I would really appreciate it if you do that and join the family. We just hit 1,000 subscribers and I couldn't be more thankful. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.